morning. Now, the race for the Tory leadership is hotting up, with two strong candidates fighting it out for a job that, frankly, no one should really want. Why? Well, it's 5 years of guaranteed opposition and the statistical likelihood of a further defeat in 2029, assuming that Labour can get their act together. Not to mention the small matter of one Nigel Paul Farage, who parked his tanks on the Conservatives' lawn in July of this year, achieving an extraordinary 4.1 million votes, a figure that could double by the time of the next election. So, in the blue corner, it's Robert Jenrick, who has the air of a middle manager who has suddenly surprised his colleagues by turning up to work in a Harley-Davidson. And in the bluer corner, Kemi Badenoch, the strict new head teacher at school who actually expects the staff and pupils to do some work. Jenrick is feisty, fearless and in a hurry. Kemi is calm, methodical, principled and terrifying. Jenrick has gone for policy detail. Scrap the BBC licence fee, a parliamentary lock on immigration, a rethinking of human rights, the axing of climate targets. The guy is a walking manifesto. Do you think that every morning he tells his wife that he's leaving the ECHR? I suspect he does. Meanwhile, Badenoch is offering no detail, no policy, just a trust me, I got this type of message. So for the membership, it's either an act of intellectual calculation or an act of faith. But faith is what politics is all about. And you can have faith in someone like Kemi Badenoch, whose experience of socialism growing up in Nigeria has made her a conservative to her core. A profound allergy to leftist progressivism inhabits every cell of her body. It's who she is. She voted to leave in 2016, unlike her opponent, and sees Brexit as unfinished business. Too right. She slays anyone who faces her at the dispatch box. She would make mincemeat of Starmer and has stood up to the worst excesses of woke, in particular taking 2 chunks out of the virtue-signalling Doctor Who actor David Tennant, who said that he'd like her to, and I quote, shut up and go away. Well, shutting up and going away are not 2 of her great qualities, which we're going to discover if she prevails. Now, some have said that Kemi Badenoch is too pugnacious. She could pick a fight with her own reflection. Well, that is true. But that's because she is someone who will fight. She'll fight for what is right. She'll fight for common sense. She will fight to win. Whilst I maintain that Rishi Sunak was an outstanding Prime Minister, that's right, I think he was a brilliant Prime Minister, and I did back him for the leadership in 2022, the other candidate that caught my eye all those years ago was Kemi Badenoch, and I haven't changed my mind. This is an excerpt from my big opinion on Sunday, the 17th of July, 2022. Take a listen. Then there's Kemi Badenoch, the surprise candidate. A true fiscal and social conservative, an engineer who wants to look at data and rethink our economy and our society. Praise the Lord. And she's un-PC. When she saw 2 unisex toilets at her campaign launch venue during the week, she stuck a men's toilet symbol on one door and a women's toilet symbol on the other. She's young. She's clever, she's got energy, and she could just be the unexpected star that Margaret Thatcher was all the way back in 1975, when she became the leader of the Conservative Party. She was not the first obvious choice. Personally, if I can't have Rishi, I'll bite your hand off for Badenoch. And it's my profound hope that it goes down to those 2 in the final round. If Rishi can't win the final round, then the other candidate, in my view, has to be Badenoch. As an anti-woke, highly talented woman of colour who flipped burgers at McDonald's in her youth, she would be Labour's worst nightmare. I actually think their heads would explode. Is it time now to follow the Kemi trail? Dare the Tories look to the future and roll the dice on this young talent? With every day that goes by, I further warm to the idea. Well, I couldn't have put it better myself. That was 2 years ago. Kemi Badenoch is the only one who can save the Tories. And while she's at it, she might just save Britain too. By a whisker, I think that Kemi Badenoch should lead the Conservatives. I think Robert Jenrick is an outstanding candidate. He's got to be her deputy leader. He's got to be, what's he going to be, Shadow Home Secretary. He's got to have a big job. But the bottom line is it's Badenoch all the way for me. But your reaction and your vote. Let me know who you think should be leader of the Conservative Party. gbnews.com/your say. I'll get to your messages shortly. But first, tonight's top pundits. We have journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee. We have Conservative peer and former advisor to Boris Johnson, the one and only Lord Colville Ranger, and former top Labour minister, Bill Rammell. Well, Linda, let me start with you. Which of the two candidates would Labour fear the most?
Kemi Badenoch, I think. I think that Robert Jenrick has become a very polished, able politician. But if it comes to being a leader, I think it's Kemi Badenoch. I think she has that edge. I think she can resonate with the public. I mean, we've just had this conversation. Does she resonate with the membership, though, which is a key issue? But I think that she reminds me a bit of Margaret Thatcher. And I think the thing about the Conservative Party is they're always looking for the next Margaret Thatcher. And I think if you look closely at Kemi Badenoch, you will see some similarities in the way she talks in a conceptual way. She talks about her vision. She talks about ideas in the way Margaret Thatcher did.
Because Margaret Thatcher was a chemist, very scientific.
Exactly.
Kemi Badenoch, an engineer.
Yeah, rational, very, very rational people. But beyond that, it's this ability to talk conceptually, which I think Margaret Thatcher did.
Colville, is Kemi Badenoch Margaret Thatcher 2.0?
Well, look, every Conservative leader or wannabe leader in some ways aped the great Margaret Thatcher over the last 20, 30 years. So
but not always successfully.
Yeah. Not always
Boris
successfully.
was blonde. Liz Truss drove the tank.
She had the hair at one point. Yeah. But on the serious side, you know, I agree with what Linda's saying. Look, I have a lot of time for Robert, and actually all the candidates. I think one of the things that it has shown is that the Conservative Party has got a battery of people there, even in what remains after the last general election, of people that are of quality and calibre to take the party forward. And they're all been friends of mine, so I've stayed out of declaring who I'm supporting. But I have to say, I am supporting Kemi now, because I think for all the reasons that you said 2 years ago, Mark, but also the job of the leader of the opposition, which is what they are auditioning for, is to tackle the government of the day on where they are failing, on what they are doing, on actually holding them to account. And for that, you must be aggressive. You must be setting your stall out, and you must know the values that you stand on to deliver that. Robert, as fantastic a politician that he is, and I agree he'll have a big job in the shadow cabinet, and hopefully in the cabinet in the future, has set out an array of policies for the here and now. But if he becomes Prime Minister, that would happen in the best part of 5 years from now. Where would those policies be? So there's a bit of a tactical approach that he's taken to his campaign. But it has given him a lot of airtime, a lot of coverage, and therefore a lot of spotlight that's helped his campaign. But Kemi, as you've said, Linda, has spoken in conceptual terms. She's dealing with the issues of what it means to be a Conservative, of what it means to stand your ground, and what it means to attack the government, which is the job of the leader of the opposition.
Now, Bill, understandably, you are enjoying this Labour government with a bumper majority and a strong mandate to change Britain for the best. And also, I'm sure you're enjoying this Tory chaos. But the issue you've got is that if Kemi Badenoch wins, Starmer's toast, isn't he?
No, he's not. And look, I said to you previously, personally, in crude party political terms, I prefer Jenrick because I think he's inauthentic. He's gone from being a centrist Remainer to now trying to out Farage, and I don't think that's a route to success for the Tories. But I think there's a fundamental challenge to both of them. Neither of them have faced up to why 75% of people desperately wanted to see the back of the Tories at the general election. And there's no sense that they're willing to take their party by the scruff of the neck and drag it back to the mainstream of politics, as Kinnock did, as Blair did, as Cameron did, and as Keir Starmer did. There's not that courage to tell your party some home truths.
Well, I wonder whether Kemi Badenoch, Linda, is the embodiment of courage.
I think she has done that, though. I think Kemi Badenoch has spoken about the problems quite clearly. And I think she has talked, as I said earlier in conceptual terms, about what she has to do to bring it round. Maybe not bring it back into what you would regard as centrist or mainstream, but she's certainly laid out where she thinks the party should be and how it went wrong in
Bill, if Kemi Badenoch wins, right, she destroys Labour's identity politics, right? No one can talk about being the first woman chancellor or this of colour or that of gender, because she would be a black woman who's also a conservative. Yeah. So that kills Labour's identity policy. And weekly Prime Minister's questions will be a bloodbath, won't it?
No, it won't. I mean, Starmer could hold his own, and identity politics don't win general elections.
Right.
But Badenoch has shown no sense that she really understands on austerity, on extremism, on a whole host of issues, why the Tories lost so badly. And I think you do. Part of the way you win in politics is demonstrating that you can take on your own party and reform it. And I don't think that's cut through.
Well, that's what we're going to do. Last word, Linda.
Well, because one of the reasons the Tories lost is because they completely lacked unity and was totally swallowed up by internecine fighting. And I think she did understand that. She did talk about sorting it out.